Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of an older timepiece that's part of my personal collection. It's no longer made, but I wanted to review it because I happen to like this watch a lot. This is a Louis Vuitton Tambour Diver. This is one of the original Tambour watches that came out several years ago when Louis Vuitton got serious about producing watches. Now, Louis Vuitton is part of LVMH, which is a large luxury group, and within that group, there are some watch brands, namely Tag Heuer, Hublot, Zenith, Bulgari, and also brands like Dior that produce timepieces, and Chaumet. And Louis Vuitton, which is probably the most well-known brand in the LVMH group, also produces watches, and many of them are quite high-end. There's mechanical watches, there's quartz watches, and the tambour is the case. Actually meant to look like a drum, and it looks a little bit like a bowl, I guess you could say, where the base of the case is wider than, I guess you could say, the bezel here, which is a very thin bezel at the top. And it looks really cool on the wrist. This one's 44 millimeters wide. And this is actually one of the first modern brown sport watches. For a long time, you really could not find a brown watch. It was rare. It's just something that the market didn't think people wanted. And then all of a sudden, they started making brown watches, and they called them chocolate. And everyone thought it was okay to then have a brown watch if you called it chocolate. I still call them brown watches because, frankly, I don't want to always think about food when I'm staring at my wrist, but that's just me. Now, one of the reasons I've loved this watch for as long as I did is I love the simplicity and elegance, but also sort of purposefulness of the design. Louis Vuitton made sure that the hour markers in the hands are very easy to see. There's a subdial there for the seconds, and if you look closely, you'll notice that the subdial is actually Tahitian mother of pearl. And what they've done quite nicely is they've added these lines here on top of the mother of pearl, which is hard to do to make them legible, and there's a yellow hand. You have the date, and at the time it was very common to have what I sometimes called a reverse magnifier, because rather than be on top of the case, which is typical in watches like the Rolex Submariner date, it was underneath the crystal, but still had the magnification effect, which of course you can't see because the hand is right over the date window. It's water resistant 300 meters, so it's a real diver, so to say. Nice rubber strap there that sort of emulates the look of Louis Vuitton bags, which is nice. I like some of the little details here. For example, on the crown here for the inner rotating bezel, there's a little picture of a diver, which I thought was cute. And you unscrew that, and now you can turn the inner rotating bezel, which is a 60-minute timing bezel. One of the things I want to mention about this watch, which is great for people who love luminant, is out of all the watches in my collection, I can't say definitively this is the best, but this is in the top 10 in terms of the lume. And it's not just the fact there's this really huge piece of lume right here, but even the hour markers in the hands are just fantastic. They did a good job. And this is, again, one of these sort of like earlier nice Louis Vuitton watches that was, showed that they were quite serious about it. This wasn't a cheap watch when it came out. And again, I don't actually remember the specific retail price. Obviously, the price would be different today because this came out more than 10 years ago now. And again, it isn't made. The tambour is still made. So they still make plenty of watches using the tambour case, but not this diver. But there is a current version of the diver, which I think it's called the Diver 2. And it has like a little diving flag on there and things like that. And it's still very nice, but it doesn't, for me, capture the sort of core essence that this original Tambour Diver did. This one comes in a steel case, and they actually made rose gold versions as well, which I thought was a pretty kick-ass watch. You're definitely a baller if you have a solid gold Louis Vuitton dive watch. And at the time, that was kind of a cool big deal thing. And these watches are quite rare. You can find some of them out there, and it's definitely worth it. You can see on the back here a little bit more of that Louis Vuitton branding. I'm not even a huge Louis Vuitton brand fan myself. I mean, I don't wear purses, and they're mostly known for that. I know they have a bunch of other stuff. They do a good job, but I'm not so much into luggage and like leather goods and things like that. I'm a little bit more sort of like I prefer like a nice like high end, like plastic backpack, or something that's like a outdoors hiking gear than something that's supposed to be for the urban jungle. But when it comes to the watch, I think it's a fun addition. And so if you've looked at Louis Vuitton watches in the past and didn't take them that seriously, you should. And I was really happy to find this one for my collection. So again, this is a Louis Vuitton Tambour Diver. I don't remember the original price. Oh, and inside the watch was the base Swiss automatic movement. And I may or may not write about this on the blog to watch. I'll see. I guess it'd be a little frustrating for people, right? Because I talk about it and people want it, they're not going to be able to find it. But I just had a lot of things to say about this, and I thought this was a really cool timepiece, so I did want to do a video. Anyways, thank you so much, and continue to watch videos on the aBlogtoWatch YouTube channel.